Thinking about buying a franchise? Then the How to Buy a Franchise show is just for you. Here's your host, Dr. John Hayes.
My guest is Bruce Evans. He's the Vice President of Franchise Development for Capriotti's. Bruce, welcome to the program.
Thank you, John.
So, how long have you been with Capriotti?
Almost 4 years now.
Yeah, and you're selling franchises across the United States and
We
where
are.
else? Throughout the world? Or you?
Not throughout the world yet.
Okay,
Yep.
Someday. You'll be an international
Absolutely.
franchisor. How many are in the United States now?
We have 100 restaurants in 14 states.
Okay, great. And so, what's the? Why don't you have 200 restaurants in 28 states?
You know, that's an interesting question. So we were founded in 1976 in Wilmington, Delaware, and the founder really founded this concept as a mom and pop operation and began franchising by accident.
Okay.
And so about 22 years ago, she relocated from Wilmington, Delaware to Las Vegas and then began opening restaurants out there, franchising to friends and family. And then about 8 years ago, one of the franchise groups in Las Vegas acquired the company from the founder. And so over the last 8 years, and really, they basically bought a box of franchise agreements.
Okay.
And so over the last 8 years, they've worked diligently to build the infrastructure of Capriotti's to support franchising and franchisees and that growth. And we're finally at a point now where we've got all the pieces to the puzzle in place and we're ready to roll this thing out.
And so for listeners and viewers who have never been to Capriotti's, tell us, what do you find there when you walk through the door?
Well, you're going to find a lot of great food. The unique thing about us in the sandwich space is that we actually roast whole turkeys in-house every day. We roast beef, we make homemade meatballs, tuna fish, coleslaw. So it's a very fresh, unique flavor profile that the other sandwich guys just don't have.
Great. So what's the biggest challenge that you face in development? Is it difficult to find a good franchise prospect?
It's not necessarily difficult to find a good franchise prospect, but sometimes it's difficult to find the right fit for us. And what we want franchisees that can come alongside us. They understand our values, they understand our mission, and they want to grow with us, and they can see the importance of growing a brand, not just operating a business and within those four walls, but understanding the bigger picture of where we want to be in 5 years and 10 years.
So you mentioned fit, and I mentioned fit as well, because I believe as a franchise educator that while franchising is powerful and it's a great methodology, it doesn't work for everybody.
That's
and
correct.
How much attention do you pay to that when you talk to a prospective franchisee? How much time do you spend on the fit? How do you size up a prospect to know, well, this is really not going to be right for them, and you don't want to sell them a franchise then?
Well, beyond going through the nuts and bolts of the franchise opportunity with Capriotti's, I let people talk a lot, and I listen to what they have to say about themselves, what their goals are, what they've done in the past, how much do they really understand about the franchise relationship. So I find the more I let them talk, the more I learn whether or not they're the right fit for us. And then obviously getting some face-to-face time as well and making sure that they really understand what they're getting themselves into.
So to find a franchisee who's going to be a good fit, they're going to have the money, they're going to have the right background, they're going to have the values and the skill sets that you want. How many people do you have to talk to find one?
Probably about 100.
That seems to be the number everybody uses.
Yep, it is.
That 1 out of 100 become a franchisee.
That's right.
That means that if you've been here for 3 days at the International Franchise Expo and you maybe have talked to 600 people in 3 days, 200 a day is a reason. So you might get how many franchisees out of this group?
2 to 3?
Yeah.
I think at best.
Yeah. So it's a difficult sale. It's not as easy as everyone thinks. And what trips up most people? What's the problem? Is it the money, or is it the fit, or is it, hey, I don't want to do sandwiches, I want to do something else?
Well, I think I think it really comes down to the business acumen, especially on the restaurant side, that people that haven't been in this business to really wrap their head around what are the important aspects of the restaurant industry, because it's the operational side of it, the tricks of the trade things that they really have to understand to be successful in this business.
Okay, so it's not an easy business. You know,
No.
the getting into the restaurant business, you're open 7 days a week.
Right.
And long hours, and
That's
it's
right.
hard hours.
That's right.
And also, you've got to depend on minimum wage, or maybe better than minimum wage.
Right.
But it's generally, you're dealing with either young people who are employees or maybe senior citizens who are employees.
Sure.
Is this more difficult for franchisees?
You know, not necessarily more difficult for franchisees, but what they have to understand the level of commitment that it takes when they're looking at specifically a restaurant franchise. You know, you're typically, in our business, you're looking at about 8 to 12 months to get a restaurant open. So one, you've got the commitment of searching for real estate, you've got the commitment of the construction process, then you've got to commit to the training, hiring, finding the right people. We help with all of that on the training side. We actually train the employees for a week before the restaurant opens. But great food is only a piece of the restaurant business. The other piece is the look at me, smile at me, talk to me, thank you, operational side of it and the service side of it that are hugely important in this business.
And how many employees do I need in my Capriotti's unit?
You typically need about 15 to 20 employees on the schedule.
Okay, so it's not a small operation by any means.
It's not a small operation.
Yeah. And then what's the initial investment, the franchise fee, and all in, how much am I going to spend?
All in, you're typically looking at $350,000 to $380,000.
And I can get financing for
Absolutely.
that. Capriotti's help me with that, or do you point me in the right direction? Or
I have third-party financing that's available
Okay.
for folks.
Yeah. So generally, if you've got a little bit of money, or you've got a 401k that you want to use as seed money for your business, you can get into a Capriotti's financially. That's not
Absolutely.
generally going to be the problem. And then, so you said how long? 8 months to open a business?
Yeah, 8 to 12 months
Yeah.
typically.
And am I working during that time in my regular job, or am I working every day at opening my Capriotti's?
I laugh because that's certainly good advice
Yeah.
to continue working
Keep your
until
job.
you get until you get your business open.
Yeah.
And we've got some folks that fit in the category both ways. We've got some people that are working as they open. We've got other people that are 100% in the development process and not actually working up to the point that their restaurant's open. So I've seen it both ways, but ideally, you know, keep your stream of income until you get
Right.
your business open.
And how many franchisees own your 100 stores in 14 states?
We have 38 franchisees.
Okay, so they're multiple unit owners.
That's right.
Generally, they're going to look at 2 or 3 units.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
And is that what you like? Is that what you prefer? Or is that the financial model? Or
It's a little bit of both. I mean, the financial model works great for a single unit owner-operator, but it also works great and can grow very quickly into multi-unit operations and support fairly high-level management.
okay. And do you file an item 19 in your disclosure?
I have a fantastic item 19 in
Wow,
my
good
disclosure.
For you guys.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So
Yes,
we
sir.
can talk a little bit about money.
We can,
All
because
right.
we actually operate, currently we operate 16 corporate restaurants.
Okay.
Last year, I operated a total of 13 corporate restaurants.
Okay.
So,
And what kind of money then am I looking at? If I invest this $350,000, when am I going to break even, and when am I going to start taking some money home?
well, so that's a fantastic question. And in this type of business, when you're going into a leasehold space, a huge factor, all other things being equal, is going to be your rent. And we want rent for a franchisee to be in the 8% of gross sales range. So we have stores in our corporate portfolio that range from 4.8% of sales is their occupancy cost, all the way up to 12%. So typically on a restaurant, one of our newest stores that has a 12% occupancy cost, we're seeing about a 12% down to EBITDA. And then in those corporate stores with the 4.8% of occupancy cost, we're seeing an EBITDA in the 15% range.
Very interesting. Okay, so on a day-to-day basis, what do franchisees complain about? What's their problem?
Well, you know what's unique about this brand is we've got franchisees that have been in this business for 30, 40 years. We've also got franchisees that are, you know, newer. They've been open a year, less than a year. And so I think what they complain about is understanding the importance of change in a franchise organization over time. It's difficult to just keep doing the same old thing over and over again. Even though you may be successful at it, it's important to broaden your base, to continue to grow and reach out to new customers.
And one of the things that I'm sure your prospects are looking at, maybe worried about, is that in that sandwich model and in that market, you're up against that big, giant competitor that has a lot of money, that will sell sandwiches for a lot lower price. How do they compete? They don't have that big of a marketing fund at Capriotti's.
No, we certainly don't. But what we focus our marketing dollars towards is trial, to getting consumers to come through the door and try the food. And we find once they try the food, they return again and again. That's right. They're coming back.
Yeah.
And so there's always going to be a niche for, the lower price, value price sandwich. And we're certainly not in that category, but we don't want to be.
Yeah.
We're not going after Subway.
And do your numbers look better, your EBITDA numbers, or do you know? I mean, we know this from anecdotal information that we collect from other franchise operators who own competitive businesses in the sandwich industry. How much better will the EBITDA be for your kind of and your investment is higher, of course, so they attract a different kind of franchisee.
That's right.
How do you sell against that? Can you use your item 19 to sell against?
Absolutely, and we do very well with our item 19, and a lot of people get really excited about it. What people are looking for today, and even not just prospective franchisees, but landlords, they want something that's more unique to go into their market, that's not just the run-of-the-mill, same old sandwich place. They want something different, unique, and we're at a price point that people get excited about, and they get excited about our EBITDA.
Yes.
And it's been positive.
Yeah. So the franchisees, by and large, they're happy about what they're doing. They've got struggles, they've got issues.
Sure.
Do you have a franchise advisory council? Do you use do you allow your franchisees to give input and to air their grievances?
Well, one of the unique things about our company is that our CEO and his partner, which is also our chief marketing officer, they've known each other since childhood.
Oh, great.
They went to college together, they learned about Capriotti's together, became franchisees, and he's 38 and 36 years old, are their ages. So they really have an open door policy. So we don't have an advisory council, but we spend a lot of time talking to our franchisees. We see this as a relationship business, and it's about getting to know people, understanding what are their trials and tribulations, and figuring out the best way to manage that situation.
And to help them solve the
That's
issues
exactly right.
as they come up. Relationship is a key word. In franchising, the most successful people are the people who build relationships. Franchisor to franchisee, franchisees among franchisees.
That's right.
And this is where I'm sure your franchisees have found as well that they have great opportunities because they network with other franchisees who can help them learn how to overcome some of the problems.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly
We've
right.
been talking about I'm talking with Bruce Evans, and we've been talking about the item 19. And just as a clarification for those of you who are new to the How to Buy a Franchise show, Item 19 is an optional item in the franchise disclosure document. Not every franchisor, in fact, under 5% of franchisors file Item 19, so that's why I was excited to see that Capriotti's has an Item 19. That Item 19 becomes an earnings claim or a financial representation. It's a complex methodology of completing it. Many franchisors don't like to do it. Some franchisors don't like to do it because it doesn't look very good, because it shows you as a franchise prospect the kind of money that you can generate in the business. So finding a franchisor that has an item 19 is a great advantage, but it can't. 95% of the time, you're not going to find that in a franchise disclosure document. Was it difficult to convince the owners to put that item 19 in place?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And because we see it as a relationship, we want people to come into this business eyes wide open. They completely understand what they're getting themselves into from a commitment level and also a financial level. What is it going to take to be successful in this business?
Yeah. And so the training is how long for Capriotti's?
The training's actually 4 weeks, and it's held in Las Vegas at any number of our corporate stores there, training facilities. And then that typically occurs during the construction process. By the time they finish training, the restaurant is probably 2 to 3 weeks away from opening. We send a training team out. They train the employees for a week prior to the opening, and then they stay with the franchisees for another week after opening.
Okay, and they're doing marketing pre-opening to start building interest in the business and to bring people in. And of course, spending a month for training in Las Vegas is not a bad place to be, although they could lose some money while they're there, and that could be the downside to Capriotti's may have to move out of there.
Yeah, actually, I just had a Chicago franchisee that was he broke even, so he was happy.
He was happy. If you break even in Vegas, you're a winner. Well, you could be a winner if you buy a Capriotti's franchise as well. Bruce Evans would think so for sure.
Absolutely.
So you should contact Bruce for more information. I'm John Hayes. I've been at the International Franchise Expo for these past 3 days. The show is wrapping up now. It will return in June of 2017, but you're not going to wait that long. If you're hungry for a franchise opportunity, you're going to go take a look at Capriotti's, for example, or any number of franchise opportunities. There are some 3,000 franchise opportunities in North America. You will find many of them at franchiseexpo.com. Franchise Expo is a great resource for you. Franchisors advertise there looking for prospective franchisees. They have investments of less than $10,000 up to $1 million and more. FranchiseExpo.com is also a great resource in helping you understand how franchising works. And as a great resource, there's none better than howtobuyafranchise.com. I'm John Hayes. I look forward to talking to you again in the near future.
Thank you for listening to How to Buy a Franchise Show. If you want immediate assistance, visit howtobuyafranchise.com to contact Dr. John Hayes for a free consultation.